Ooh. I don't know if that was a fish. It was a fish. It stole my stupid gosh thing. I think I can see it over there trying to spit it out. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of That Guy Outdoors. Today's video is going to be how to dissect some skinny water for smallmouth. I've been out there trying to find other videos to see who does what and how they do it, and I really haven't found anything that I've liked or anything I didn't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I do and hopefully open up some dialogue between you and me, and you can let me know what you do. Otherwise, hopefully you could see where I fish and how I go about doing it. So hang in there. We're going to head upriver. We're going to see what we see. Alright everyone, I'm going to start out here next to this bridge. I'm all kitted up and I'm ready to roll. We're going to start off tonight with a Daiwa fat worm. This is a weighted wacky rig. I got some O-rings on there to keep the hook on there. And what we're going to do is, I don't know if you could see, but the bubbles right here are flowing back upstream. And even on the other side, way over there, they're turning around. There's a current seam where the current comes down through this middle of this chute. And it's slow on one side and slow on this side, so much that the current is coming back around. So those smallmouth are going to lay on the edges of these seams. Most important thing to remember is this time of day, the smallmouth are going to be in the shade. They are not going to be out in the sunlight. They're not going to feed looking up into the sun. So what we're going to do is we're going to work this shade here just a little bit. They don't really like muddy bottoms. So we're going to stay on the rocky side of the river. See if there's any smallies searching these seams for bait fish struggling in the current. Now, what I try to do, skip this way over there to that slack water side. It's not horribly deep over there. Some people like their weightless wacky rigs. Fishing in this current, I think, dictates some weight. You got to get it down to where these fish are at. Before we leave, we might want to toss this little feller downstream a little bit. It's not real deep down there, but it's in the shade. I'll tell you what, if there's one thing that smallies like in the summertime, it's shade. You find shade in a current seam, and if you got smallies, that's where they're going to be. So, as I move upstream here, I want you to know that there's other places to make casts to. But because we're in full sunshine right here, we're going to bypass those totally. I might point some out though on the way. The saying is that 90% of the fish reside in 10% of the water. So if you spend your time fishing that 90% of water that the fish aren't in, you're wasting a lot of time. Might seem like I go fast, but I'm not going to waste my time in marginal places. Got to keep your eyes out. Places like here, it's deep. It's deep, but it's full sun. So if we come back here in the evening and you drop a wacky rig or something in there when the sun's not on it, you're going to have a lot better luck than chucking it in there now. If you've got a hand to play, you don't play it until the time is right. So I'm going to break my own rule and make a couple casts here. We've got a riffle that flows into a run, which is always good. Problem being is it's slow and there's not a lot of current. I don't know if you guys can see it, but look at all the little fish jumping down there. I don't know what the heck they're doing. Anyways, what we're gonna do is we're gonna throw the wacky rig along this edge a little bit, because I don't know if you can see, but under there, there's some structure. Those smallies are gonna be tucked in behind that structure, trying to get out of the current. I know the sun's full on them, but a couple casts can't hurt anyone. A lot of times, especially in skinny water, your big smallies are going to be in the most prime habitat. So you're going to throw it behind all the cover, into the shade. I know we don't have any shade here, but we got cover. So what we're going to do is try to get to the deepest spots. Like I said, we're not going to spend too much time here. I like this place. This is a nice little run. There's fish in here, but if it's not the best time of night to be fishing, right on the edge of dark, where these fish have come out into these flats to feed, you're not going to catch a nice smallmouth in these. You could waste a lot of time like I just did. All right, so here we go. Okay, here's another good spot where we're going to throw this wacky rig around a little bit. Got a nice big long run. It's all maybe 2 to 3 feet deep the whole way up. But we're going to fish it right before these riffles, which is one of the rules you're always supposed to follow, but there's all this structure that's right here. So what we're gonna do is kick that right up along the edge there. Just drag it along the bottom. Like I said, with the sun being up the way it is, the chances of getting something going here in this full sun is pretty slim, especially nothing, you know, of any size. Not to say that you got to catch a big bass to enjoy yourself. Sometimes it makes it better. Oop. And sometimes snagging lures aren't the worst things, because once you get up in here and you start looking around under the water, seeing what's under here, seeing what's available. I should have been casting right under there. Boy, there's a nice pocket right under there. I was casting too far away from it. Oh, I casted right on these branches. We got a downstream obstruction right here with shade. This would have been the place to be casting the whole time. Kind of sad. I'll remember that for next time, because the best spots are up here. I've yet to show you. I'd really like you guys to see what it is I look for. See plenty of bait fish jumping. You know, there's activity. On a hot sunny day like today, the big mature fish that don't need to eat every minute of the day, post spawn, they're going to be laying in these holes. Oop. Laying in these holes, waiting for dusk, waiting for topwater time. Key is to cast accurately to that one spot that you think holds fish. If it doesn't work, keep moving, because it's like turkey hunting or deer hunting. If you don't get them the first time or two in the place where you think they're going to be at, either they're not there or they're not playing the game that you want them to play, and it's better just to move on instead of sitting there trying to make something happen. That just ain't going to happen. But just to use this spot as an example, if you guys can see all the cottonwood fluff that's flowing down, but then a certain amount of it is going the opposite direction. If you see bubbles or cottonwood fluff going in the opposite direction, that's that current seam that you want to hit. I find if you move slow, try not to spook these fish, you can get awful close to them. Now what we're going to do is past this sandbar that's right here. There's a bend in the river, a deep spot with a big tree snag up there. Now, I've never caught a fish. I've lost more than my fair share of lures right up in there. But we're going in there. We're going to catch one on this wacky rig. or maybe we'll lose it and snag them like all the rest of the stuff we throw in there. But it is a prime smallmouth place. I'll give you guys a better look at what I'm using. I really love the orange and brown. This is watermelon orange with red flakes. It's the Daiwa SV Concept by Daiwa. It's a Gary Yamamoto custom bait made in the USA. So this thing here has caught some fish for me lately, and that's why I'm rolling with it. Been using these O-rings, and the O-ring basically is to prevent injuring the soft plastic so that it lasts longer. But the fish take it, it obviously doesn't last that long. So I have this cheap O-ring putter oner machine from Amazon.com, and show you how we're going to do this after you get done messing around with it here. So what I do is I put an X here. So when I slide my hook on, I just go right through those X's, just like that, so that you're pulling on the O-ring. So again, you can see these bubbles. These bubbles are coming right down the middle, right off the other side of those bubbles is where that current break is going to be. And that is where those fish are going to be hiding out. Just got to find where the big ones are at and put it right in front of their face, because these big old smallies are like big old whitetail bucks. They're lazy. So just to reiterate, you got a riffle. Look at the water going, or the bubbles going back. We're going to throw the top water over there later. Got a nice deep chute going right here. The bubbles will tell you where the main current is at. Now on either side of that current is where you want to cast. We're heading upstream. Better places to come. Hang in there. Now we're getting up to where it's nice and deep and dark. There's a big cut bank up here where I'm hoping we find a lot of these bass. Nice lazy place. I have a feeling the reason why I always catch these big bass in this area is the water comes out of the woods right here, and there's a long run, maybe a mile or so of woods, maybe 3/4 of a mile. And what you'll have is that water stays nice and cool in that river. So these fish like to sit in these deep spots where the water's cool and full of oxygen. This cut bank, this gravelly cut bank, is where we're going to have our luck, I think. There's one right there. Right in that current seam. All right. Get on the bank, big man. Big girl, whoever you are. All right, all right, all right, okay. Okay. All right. Nice river smallie. Caught right out of that current. Right out of that trough. It's a pretty red eye right there. Hello to you. All right. Go ahead and get a good release on you, buddy. I'll put you back in there real slow like. All right. Nope, go the other way, man. Go the other way. There you go. All right, I know I'm not a boisterous fisherman. I'm kind of quiet, but I want you guys to know that these fish are, they're spooky, man. You just can't go acting the fool around them. You gotta keep your composure. And no one fish is worth not catching another one. So again, like I was telling you guys, there's a deep trough that comes right down through right here, ends about right here. So when I'm down in there, I'm able to drag that lure right along the edge of the current seam, keeping it right in front of the bass's face. We're gonna keep chucking this thing around, see if there's anyone else hanging around in here. So this time, I'm gonna cast right on the upstream side of all that vegetation there. Just let that go right down beneath it. Just dangle it in everyone's face. Or drag it right along the bottom. I want to put this right in that corner right there. There we go. Oh yeah, pulled him right out of the bottom there. Oh, that's a good one there too. Okay. All right, folks, here we go. Number 2 on the wacky rig. And I hope you're paying attention to the little places where I'm casting to. Fish like this will sit in there and wait for the prey to walk by. When that prey walks by, everyone's surprised because I figure they should ought to be swimming. One last good look at this smallie before we set it free. Back to the briny deep, my friend. Thanks for the good time. Whoa. Now we're gonna run top water the whole way back. In the evening, when things cool off, the bass will come out of the cover where we were previously fishing for them. They're gonna come out into these flats and they're gonna feed on all the bait fish running in the shallows. Oh, there goes one right there, guys. Wasn't even looking at that one. Okay. Got to keep these fish low in the water column. Swimming uphill towards me. Okay. Get him over here to the bank. Like I said, this fish here was right out in the current at the end of the night, the end of the day, a hot day. These fish do head out into those flats to feed, just like this fish did right here. Ouch. All right, everyone, there you go. I mean, again, these aren't giants, but this is how you read a river. All right. Time to put this pretty fella back. Ooh, where are you going? So what I wanted to point out to you guys is that fish came from, see that overhanging willow? I casted around there on the way in. There's a deep spot right around that. That fish was hanging out, waiting for something to come swimming by out here in the main current. chances of running into some more fish out in these flats is pretty good this time of night.
Here we go. Right near that log. Ooh. Alright, come on in here. Come on. Hey, big guy. Oh, that's a big one there. Wow. I don't know if my camera's still on. Alright, one more look. Oh. Look at that, folks. One last long look. The big Mid-Ohio smallie. Here we go.
Okay, I'm sure it's getting pretty hard to see, so we're gonna call it a night on that big Mid-Ohio smallie. I hope you guys were able to see the kind of places I chose to put a lure to make myself successful. The spot that I caught that last fish was where when I was walking up in here I got that snag. I found that big log. Well, I casted right over top of that log and it was sitting right there. So hey, it pays to get out, walk the river, look around, but no structure, no current seams, and watch substrate. I had a great time tonight. I hope you did too. Can't wait to see you next time on That Guy Outdoors.